All right. I think we did it this time. Minimal technical difficulties to start. But now that I've said that, I'm sure the rest of the show is going to go completely sideways. Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Incredibly Late to the Party News. I, of course, am your host, John, the creative blue collar guy, and I am extra late to the party this week because I had some family in town last week, and family first always, which is always a good motto to live by, but especially in the wake of the fact that I kind of felt compelled to get back out here and start maybe talking about some little more spicy topics that I maybe tended to avoid before due to the events of Charlie Kirk. That was very much what Charlie Kirk would tell his employees and people that worked at Turning Point USA. When things come up, when things happen, family first, always. So with that, when I had some family in town, it was maybe a bit of an oversight on my part to relaunch this thing after being away for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months, something like that. And be like, I'm going to come back and redo the live stream thing every Monday. Oh, wait, I won't be able to do what was last Monday, whatever the date. I don't know. I already cannot believe it's October. I have officially become that person that is constantly saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's already August. I can't believe it's already September. I can't believe it's already October. I swear, like, it just felt like yesterday I was saying to my boss at work, wow, I can't believe it's already June. And here we are, October. I swear, like, it was just Christmas and now it's about to be Halloween. But yeah, there is so much to go over. I had a ton of topics that I could have talked about a week ago. I was going to try and squeeze in do like a pre-recorded video and then just put it up here as like a live premiere so some of y'all could still interact with each other in the chat. Just I wouldn't have been there hanging out with you, but again, time got away from me and I wasn't able to get it done. Had some gigs. I've just, been busy. Stuff's been happening, but we're here. We're back again. And I really told myself too, when I came back, I was going to be a lot more organized. I was going to have topics that I wanted to talk about. I was going to have articles, and I've got a lot of articles. I got a lot of stuff up here that we're going to go over, but there's been so much. Like the list that I'm staring at, I'm just like, I can't even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I got like 13 topics up here and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs open. So it just, we're going to kind of see where the night takes us. But we definitely have to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. I know the name of my show is very aptly named. I will never be breaking news, but I'll get to it eventually. We got to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. But we have Lady Marine in the chat who is not feeling well tonight, but you're going to stick around as long as you can. Always good to see you. Appreciate you being here. I did not see anything about her suing. Be really hilarious to follow that story and see what becomes of that because what did the MLB do wrong? I don't remember. Is it a home run or a foul ball? Whatever it is, whatever it was, ball goes into the crowd. It's fair game. I mean, literally, the fans could fight over it. I mean, you got a couple of guys there that are going after the same foul ball, home run ball, whatever. Like, they could duke it out. I mean, okay, they might both get kicked out for fighting because you're not supposed to fight at sporting events, but it's like, ball goes into the stands. It's fair game. It was not in her row. She was trying to reach over other seats to get to it. The dad was maybe a couple seats down, but just went over, yoink, came back, and she got in his face, yelled at him, the whole thing. The MLB did. Okay, here we go. Yeah, weather's still hot and gross out here. It's cooled off. It's cooled off a little bit here, but I think we're still supposed to get back up into the 80s this week or next week. Showed it live, and her life is ruined. Well, don't be a bitch. That's all there is to that. Especially to a little kid. Like, okay, fine, the dad ran over and grabbed the ball, but then once you see that the dad handed it to his son, it's like, you're just... all right, let me pull my messages up here. Breaking: Phillies Karen sues MLB after getting fired. This is bad. She claims in her lawsuit she lost everything. I lost my job, lost my dignity, I lost my livelihood. They must pay for the damage they caused me. Now she's filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Major League Baseball and social media giants. I've been humiliated. They must pay and make things right. And we're gonna kind of get into that topic quite a bit with the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. I have strong feelings about things like this, but I've also listened to a few podcasts that have given me an interesting perspective on well, the big issue lately has been, is it censorship or is it cancel culture or is it, so like say the people that have been losing their jobs because their bosses got wind of them celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Should people necessarily lose their jobs for things they're saying on social media? No, that was kind of the big argument with Gina Carano getting fired by Disney. It was something that, first of all, wasn't even that offensive, and they actually kind of proved her point of the post that she made. She was just sort of like, hey, like we shouldn't turn on each other, and well, the irony there. But she made a post on her social media and Disney fired her. These people that are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, they are absolute garbage human beings. How I necessarily feel about them losing their jobs: a private company is not required to employ you. Typically, an employment contract is an at-will employment contract, just like my day job. My boss can let me go at any time for any reason without any notice, and he doesn't necessarily have to tell me why. Usually, if you are getting let go, if you're getting fired for poor performance or you did something really bad, or budget cuts and layoffs, they will tell you, but they don't have to tell you. When you are quitting a job, it is often customary and polite and considered professional to give a minimum of 2 weeks notice and possibly a reason why you're leaving, yada, yada, yada. But it is not legally required. You could just stop showing up and they'll figure it out. You can call your boss and say, I'm never coming back. You don't have to say why. At will employment. So where do we draw this line of what's cancel culture and what is a private company saying, we no longer want to have you working for this establishment? It's a tricky question, so I always keep kind of going back to the Gina Carano thing. Gina Carano was fired for a social media post. She sought legal action after them, settled out of court. She's happy. She's found peace with it. That's her business. This Phillies Karen, well, okay, like you were dumb. You went and yelled at a guy for going and like retrieving a home run ball and giving it to his son on his birthday, and then you went and yelled at him. Maybe a company, like who knows, like maybe she's like a teacher or works in like customer service or something, and there's kind of like, like maybe that's not the kind of person, maybe that's not the face we want representing our company. I don't know. So then let's just do it. Let's get right into it, because that's the big topic. And sometimes they say you should like save the big topics, the meat and potatoes, for kind of the end of the stream. But I don't really even know where the stream is going to go, because I have so many different things I could pull up and talk about at any given time. But this is probably the oldest story on my list, because it happened right after I did my last live stream where he got a show back on the air. And boy, there's a lot to say about this. Okay, so again, kind of the difference of cancel culture versus getting fired. I know Jimmy Kimmel didn't get fired; he kind of got suspended, whatever. But difference of canceling someone versus getting fired. Cancel culture is more of like if people came up and said, "Oh, well, 25 years ago, Jimmy Kimmel was on The Man Show and they had all sorts of offensive skits and they ended the show with girls in bikinis jumping on trampolines, and that's offensive and misogynistic and whatever." It's like canceling Jimmy Kimmel now for things that he said and did on The Man Show would be cancel culture. Do I think Jimmy Kimmel's a good person? Do I think that he's actually like grown or become better by any means? Personally, no. But he's not still doing The Man Show. He's not still doing those same jokes and those same skits and all that stuff. So that would be unfair to cancel his show now for stuff he did 20 plus years ago. Back to the Phillies Karen thing here. She humiliated herself publicly by being a witch to a kid. I really hope the story isn't true because it will just make her look way worse and make her situation worse. Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. But I mean, yeah, if people see her out in public and feel the need to say something to her, that's their right to say that. Be like, hey, you were mean to a kid. You shouldn't have done that. I don't necessarily know if she should have lost her job over it, though. So the Jimmy Kimmel thing. So we're not trying to cancel him over who he follows on Twitter. We're not trying to cancel him over what he posts on Twitter or the things that he likes on Twitter or whatever. But he said something on national television that was proven to be very blatantly false. And the kicker to me, whether he deserved to be suspended, whether he deserved to be fired, whether he deserved to lose his show. And I think this article might get into it. It might not. I don't know. I'll just nip it in the bud right now. The thing where they're saying that the government got involved and that the president got involved, like, no, the network said, we need to pull his show. He violated FCC rules. And, FCC, the F stands for federal. That was federal interference, First Amendment, freedom of speech. I'm like, okay, but FCC guidelines, he put out blatantly false information. And the left kind of coined that phrase over the last 5 years, didn't they? Misinformation, disinformation, whatever, all that nonsense. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is the one who took a direct shot at Joe Rogan without saying his name, but talking about, some, crazy guy who's like guzzling horse goo and whatnot, talking about when Joe Rogan took the ivermectin, which everyone was saying is a horse dewormer. Joe Rogan, everything that Joe Rogan took when he got COVID, everything he did and everything he took, he said was prescribed to him by a doctor, by a human doctor. He's like, I have money. I can afford human medicine. Like, he didn't just like go down to the local tack and feed store and go, hey, give me the horse dewormer. That's going to get rid of my COVID. And you know what? He said he tested negative after like 3 days of all, vitamins and all this other stuff that he threw at it. But here, Jimmy Kimmel's taking shots at Joe Rogan. Oh, he's guzzling horse goo and everything. But they're saying Joe Rogan's spreading dangerous misinformation. Jimmy Kimmel said something blatantly false on television that was proven to be false and will not apologize for it. Like there has not been there's not been one moment where he's come back and said, hey guys, you know what? I was wrong. What I said was untrue. He didn't even necessarily have to say the words, I'm sorry, because I know that, to change your worldview or to admit that you're wrong causes people physical pain. Like, there have been studies that, when people just have their heels dug in so hard. So like with someone like Kimmel, who just has Trump derangement syndrome to the nth degree, to have to come back and say, I was wrong, causes people physical pain. It's been proven. He did not apologize. He did not apologize. And he doubled down. And I think what he said on the night that he came back was actually worse. Let me see if it's in this article, if I can find it. But anyways, you can see the headline. It's been up there for a few minutes. Kimmel corporate fallout threatening legal action, saying Disney shareholders want to know if there was improper political or affiliate pressures went into host's week-long suspension. And we're going to talk about the YouTube thing too, because they have admitted there was pressure from not the Trump administration, the Biden administration, to censor people on YouTube. Shadow banning people. You don't even know that you're banned or that you're hidden or you're censored, but all of a sudden your videos aren't getting any traction. They're not getting any views. They're not being suggested for people that might want to watch your videos. Canceling and firing from something in someone's past. Kimmel is on a national television show. It has to follow their rules and airway. Yes, he violated FCC guidelines. Just like people on the radio and TV shows can't say certain cuss words. Exactly. And I think I brought that up last time too. Like, or maybe this was in conversation with someone. I don't know. I can't remember. Every day blurs together at this point. But yeah, I was kind of talking about that because I listened to comedian Whitney Cummings. She does a podcast that she posts every Monday. She pre-records it, so a lot of times she's not usually talking about current events, but sometimes she is. And she always says she's always going to be way behind because she records them kind of more earlier in the week, midweek, and posts them on Mondays. But Whitney Cummings has worked in kind of a lot of different facets of Hollywood. She has starred in her own sitcom where like she was on camera and she was the main character. She has been a writer, a producer. She does her own comedy specials. She does podcasts. Like she's kind of worked at all sorts of different levels of entertainment. And same thing, she's saying it's like there are rules. She said she once got in trouble for saying Merry Christmas to an intern because they were like, oh, we prefer that you say Happy Holidays. And she's not even like a religious or a Christian or anything. She said Merry Christmas to somebody and like she got in trouble. What is up, Jacob Ironside? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for tuning in. And so then I kind of took her point of that of talking about like, yeah, you can't just say whatever you want, you know, on network TV. She talked about a show that she was working on and they wanted to use, like they wanted to have a character in the show wearing a football jersey of a particular team. They said the hoops they had to jump through to get the NFL to approve them to use, first of all, just their NFL logo, just the logo alone, let alone the actual team name and logo and everything of whatever team. She didn't say who it was. They said they had to submit the script to the episode. NFL higher-ups had to look through it and approve it. They could have made changes to the script if they wanted, just to have a character on the show wear an actual real NFL jersey instead of some like cheapo knockoff that doesn't have the NFL logo and you know it's not a real team name. It's like, yes, there are rules on network television. I took that a step further to say, like, think about because I don't think Jimmy Kimmel actually goes live. I think his show is pre-recorded, but Saturday Night Live, as the name suggests, every Saturday night from New York City, they go live with their sketch comedy. They are not allowed to drop F-bombs. They're not allowed to say shit. There's actually, I think you can say that after a certain hour, but no, it's only on cable TV. Anyways, I digress. You see where I'm going with this. Just like Lady Marine said, like on regular network television, like if it's not HBO, if it's not Showtime, it's not whatever, it's like you can't say really hard cuss words. You can't say certain things. You're not allowed to do that on network television, just like you're not allowed to blatantly lie. Now, here's where I thought Whitney Cummings made a good point, and I don't necessarily want to give Kimmel the benefit of the doubt because I still think he's a jackass, but she said, what if, and this is highly possible, we know he's extremely left. We know he hates Donald Trump. We know he's very critical of Donald Trump. He is in an echo chamber. Now, there really are people out there, even now still, what's it been, a month now, over a month, there are still people subscribing to the idea that Tyler Robinson, who assassinated Charlie Kirk, is an extreme MAGA, whatever. So they're still trying to say, oh, yeah, you know, he's one of you. It's like Charlie Kirk was like one of the biggest MAGA people out there. Like he was a huge Trump supporter. He was friends with him, everything. Like, why would another MAGA Republican want to take out Charlie Kirk? But they're saying, you know, Jimmy Kimmel's just in that echo chamber. Everyone that works in his office is in that echo chamber. They probably dug up and found stuff on the internet that supported their idea. And so when he put it out there, he probably thought it was true. Fine, I can get behind that theory. But when it came out that it was blatantly false, he should have been forced to come back and say, I was wrong. Is that too much to ask? That's all I'm saying. So shareholders are trying to look into legal action. He's back after a week-long suspension. Really, I think it was like 4 days, but whatever. But the lawyer who beat Donald Trump in abuse and defamation cases wants the Walt Disney Company to come clean with its shareholders about how it all went down, or else. Ooh, shaking. There is a credible basis to suspect that the board and executives may have breached their fiduciary duties of loyalty, care, and good faith by placing improper political or affiliate considerations above the best interests of the company and its stockholders. The company's response to the books and records demands set forth below will allow AFT and RWB to assess the ability of the board to impartially consider a demand for action, including a request for permission to file a derivative lawsuit on Disney's behalf in the event that members of the board or Disney executives did not properly discharge their fiduciary duties. It's just a lot of big words in here. I think they're just trying to sound smarter than they really are. I think the short answer here is that, again, they're all trying to claim that Trump got involved. They're trying to claim that the government got involved. So there's a lot of, I don't know, like I said, there's a lot of different ways to look at this. I do not view this as cancel culture. I do not view this as censorship. I view this as you need to make people be held accountable for the things that they say on television. Again, like the Gina Carano thing was her own social media. You don't like it, don't follow it, whatever. Um, and again, I'm going to say this over and over again. After she got canceled for that post on her social media, it kind of exactly proved the point of what she posted. That was really the irony of it. And so here's kind of, I think, the other way to look at it. And I know, this article comes to us from CNN. We're not going to read much of it because you have to take it with a huge grain of salt. But I'm never one to shy away from reading something just based on who posted it. Like if I see a headline and it looks interesting, okay, if it's CNN, I know what I'm walking into. If it's Fox News, I know what I'm walking into. Kind of know your different media sources, and I'll still skim through the articles, but it's going to be skewed one way or the other, left or right. I'm talking about both sides. But Joe Rogan is someone that I do hold in pretty high regard because I think he is someone who I disagree with him on a lot of things, but I appreciate that he is, I guess he would probably refer to himself as a centrist, where he kind of looks at issues from both sides. He says he's kind of liberal on some things. He's kind of conservative on some things. We don't agree on everything. I don't see eye to eye on him with everything, but I respect him. I think he, and again, like he doesn't call himself a journalist. He always just says, hey, I'm nobody. I'm just some idiot with a microphone and a podcast. And it's like, it's essentially what I'm doing too. But I think Joe Rogan's a little more well-read than I am. But in the headline, you see the headline there. It says defends Kimmel and tells conservatives supporting censorship. He's like, you're crazy. I don't think he's so much defending Kimmel, but it's kind of, again, that thing of, is it censorship or is it accountability? So, and even Whitney Cummings on her podcast, she said on one hand, she was agreeing that you can't say whatever you want on network television, as she kind of gave all those other examples that I kind of rattled off a few of. But she did kind of make the point again, like if we start leaning into this side of cancel culture, she's like, yeah, if you celebrate somebody that you don't like getting canceled today, tomorrow they're going to cancel somebody that you do like. But then we're in this weird sticky web where I'm going to keep repeating myself and saying the same thing over and over again, because I think what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, or what should have happened to Jimmy Kimmel, should have been more of a disciplinary action due to him violating FCC guidelines and basically saying blatant lies on network television. Let's just cut to the chase here. So even here, Rogan was an influential supporter of President Donald Trump during the 2024 campaign, which is something Rogan never does. He never publicly endorses a president. So that was a first, and that was huge. Definitely don't think that the government should be involved ever in dictating what a comedian can or cannot say in a monologue. That's a stretch, calling Jimmy Kimmel a comedian. I would say he has not been funny since The Man Show. So he said that if such interference were really happening and conservatives were supporting such behavior, they're crazy, because eventually they themselves would be the target of such censorship. The problem is the companies, if they're being pressured by the government. So if that's real, and if people on the right are like, yeah, go get them. Oh my God, you're crazy. You're crazy for supporting this because this will be used on you. So again, I do kind of agree with that sentiment. But again, I am going to keep leaning into the fact that Jimmy Kimmel was disciplinary action. We already went over it just like this. Like, you can't say cuss words on the radio. You listen to music on public FM radio, they have to censor out certain bad words. I think you can get away with ass or damn, bitch, bastard, but it's like anything harder than that, no F-bombs, radio, television, network television that's not like a paid channel. Who has cable anymore anyways? But, like when I was a kid, basically, unless it was on like HBO or Showtime or something, like movies and TV shows were censored. Like if you watch The Big Lebowski on, ABC or something, I don't know. I'm trying to think of just like a dumb example of like a movie with lots and lots of cuss words airing on like network television with commercials and stuff. That movie is going to be very heavily censored because of FCC guidelines, not because of freedom of speech violations. So was Jimmy Kimmel exercising his First Amendment rights? Maybe if he had just posted that on his Twitter, but not when you're on network TV. So on that note, I did not pull this tab up, but let's see if I can find this one real quick. Bear with me for a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Biden administration admits to censoring, or no, YouTube admits to Biden administration pressuring them to censor people. And this clip is not going to be nearly long enough for me to type what I need, but I'll just give you this one for a second.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
And actually, that wasn't even the clip I meant to click on, so you get another one.
I love this moment so much, I want to have sex with it.
Biden admin pressured them to censor people. Okay, let's see. And this is on Google. I probably should have gone over to like DuckDuckGo or something because I know I'm not going to get what I want to find here. Why is my screen in light mode? Oh, that is blinding. Yeah, we're going over to DuckDuckGo first because Google and Yahoo are stupid. Friends of a radio show in mornings in South Carolina, they always complain about the words they can't say. Yeah. You want to go start a podcast, you can say whatever you want. People can say you're lying. People can say you're spreading misinformation. You can say cuss words. You can say all sorts of dirty, filthy, gross jokes. And people can choose to click on it or not. That's podcast. You can do what you want. You're on the radio. FCC has guidelines. The radio station and the company and their affiliates and their sponsors have guidelines. There are rules. And even, going back to the thing of like, Whitney Cummings talking about when she was working on a show and she said Merry Christmas to an intern, just like backstage, obviously not on camera or anything. She said Merry Christmas to an intern, and they were like, well, you can't say that. And you're like, oh, I got in trouble for saying Merry Christmas. Like, when you work for a company, there's typically an HR department, and an HR department the company will have certain rules about, harassment and different things that you can't do in the workplace. Okay. I really hate to do this without a co-host, but I'm going to have to leave you guys with some dead air for just a moment. Bear with me here. Let me see if I can at least put up something. I'll be back in a minute. Sorry, guys. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I just had to go. Oh, well, that's fine. I had to go yell at the dog for a minute. Usually, if I hear him bark at something, he might bark a couple times, then leave it alone. But this, I think he's out there, and I think the neighbors are already not very friendly. So I'm trying to not make things worse. So if he's just going to sit out there and bark his head off or whatever, I'm going to have to lock him inside for a little bit. So, oh well, here we are. YouTube. Okay. YouTube admits Biden admin pressured them to censor people. There is a dog in the house. Yes, that is accurate. I'm not going to read anything from Snopes because they're also bought and paid for by the liberals. MSN, let's see. YouTube lifts ban on censored creators, and Google admits to Congress. Biden administration pressured. Okay, maybe that one. Let's try this one. What just happened? Yahoo, you were the worst. It's not a puppy. Why is my screen in light mode? This is blinding. Good thing I don't have my glasses on right now. Oh well, we're just doing light mode. Come on, there we go. Google admits to Congress the Biden administration pressured YouTube to censor COVID misinformation. Now I can already hear it. Oh, but that was for public safety. That was for everybody's safety. If you still really believe that, I'm not going to say you shouldn't be here because, in the spirit of what Charlie Kirk did, I want to hear opinions from different people. I want to have people, in the chat that are willing to say, "Hey, I disagree. Hey, this or that." I'm not gonna be mean. I'm not gonna name call whatever. But just like seriously, if we're gonna bring up the stuff of like COVID, okay. So back to oh no, that's gonna go down a whole other rabbit hole. Anyways, just specifically about this, when we talk about when Instagram was putting those warnings on, you would make a post and there'd be a thing at the bottom that, oh, this might be misinformation. Oh, this was fact checked, or this is taken out of context. This is, whatever, all this stuff. You bring this stuff up, and then, again, they try to say that, all the people on the right are the fascists. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. Okay, we're going down the rabbit hole. What's happening? When all the COVID stuff started happening, and I'm not even going to say those of us on the right, because I'll be completely honest. 5 years ago, I did not consider myself that conservative. I would say I've always been more right leaning, and I would align more with conservative values than anything. But and again, full disclosure, I will fully admit I was very much one of those people that barely paid attention. I still voted. Like when elections came around, I would still vote, but it's like I wasn't really paying that much attention to what was going on locally, federally. I definitely learned pay more attention to what's going on locally in your city and in your state. That's going to affect you way harder and way faster than the federal government. Looking at you, Gavin Newsom and Mayor Todd Gloria. But throughout the pandemic, I guess you could say I kind of got red pilled a little bit, and I woke up a lot of just being like, it's funny that like, they call like the left and the liberals like being woke, and it's like, oh no, it's like I woke up, but I realized I'm like, I want the government to leave me the hell alone. I don't want the government to tell me what to do. I want the government to stop taking my tax dollars. But it's funny to me that like one of the favorite buzzwords of the left loves calling people that they disagree with fascists. And the funniest part, first of all, of that is if you ask them, well, what does that mean? They can't answer it. They don't know what it means. They just saw somebody else use the word. They saw that, oh, I disagree with you. You must be a fascist. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, to like, So what the Democrats did during COVID is a little bit more like what the Nazis did, I would say. There were hotlines you could call and report your neighbors if they were having gatherings of people that didn't live in their household. I think the Los Angeles mayor was threatening to shut people's electricity off if he got wind that they were having gatherings of more than 12 people not of their household. Those of us that started to kind of wake up and realize that the government is not to be trusted. I mean, I guess I've always kind of known that, but like, holy crap, I really like, wow, even more so not to be trusted. There was talk of, once the vaccine came out, that, oh, they're going to make people get like vaccine passports. What does that sound like? A lot like, oh, here, just wear this band around your arm, and then that'll say if you're allowed to go certain places. Companies were instilling policies that they were going to check your vaccine status and you had to be vaccinated to keep your job. Military, healthcare, first responders. People were losing their jobs. People were literally having to choose between their jobs and their livelihood, their careers that they may have spent almost their entire life trying to reach where they were in their career, having to make the decision of, do I put this weird thing in my body that I don't know what it's going to do to me, or do I stand my ground and then lose everything I've worked for all this time? Small business owners are being told, oh, you can't reopen your business. Sorry, you lose everything. You lose your business. You lose your life savings. You lose your house, whatever. And you know what? We were right about that. They tried to implement vaccine passports. You had to take your card to go to a concert. You had to take your card to go, whatever. And again, that was all the left doing this. And now even here, they pressured social media, Instagram, YouTube, Meta, Facebook, all that pressured these people to censor what they deemed misinformation. Just people that were maybe asking questions, just people that were maybe saying, you know what? Even when Fauci first spoke of a possibility of a vaccine, he said he predicted minimum of 18 months. That vaccine was out and getting injected into people within a year or less of him saying that statement. So even the guy that's supposed to be advising everyone on this, don't get me started on Fauci, minimum 18 months. They're injecting this thing into people less than a year later. We had questions. We had reservations. We had, maybe I should wait a little bit and see what happens. And then we find out that, they have immunity, so that if people start, I don't know, their heart starts stopping for no reason at all, myocarditis, the pharmaceutical companies are covered. They have immunity. It's like you're getting the vaccine, like, will this give me immunity? And like, it'll give us immunity, meaning the pharmaceutical companies and the people injecting it. And yet, those on the right are the ones that are constantly being called fascists. Yeah, Let's continue. We're on a spicy one tonight. Google admitted that President Joe Biden's administration... Hold on. Let's back it up. Remember just a little bit ago, we were talking about how everyone keeps saying that Trump got involved with getting Jimmy Kimmel suspended. And let's back it up even farther. President Obama was involved in getting Roseanne canceled. What Roseanne did not take place on network television. I don't think. I'll have to look into that one. But Obama got involved in that one. Nobody cared then because they're like, she's a racist. It's okay to cancel her. Whatever. So no, Trump did not tell anyone to suspend Jimmy Kimmel. Google has admitted that Joe Biden's administration pressed the tech giant and YouTube to censor content the administration felt was COVID-19 misinformation. Now YouTube and Google are calling for conservative voices to rejoin if they were booted for violating now scrapped rules on what users could say about COVID-19 and election integrity. Election integrity! Oh my goodness. How about that? I mean, the fact that Democrats always have a bunch of dead people voting for them, or sometimes people voting more than once under the same name. President Biden and his administration, Donovan wrote, created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. So again, the left has sort of coined this phrase misinformation. I believe what Jimmy Kimmel said was misinformation. That's the part I forgot. That is the part that I forgot. We got to go back to the Jimmy Kimmel thing for a minute, where I said that he not only did not apologize, but he doubled down. He went on, and of course he did his fake choking up. I'm getting so emotional and tearing up and crying because I care so much about the crew and the people that work on the show. He doesn't care about the people that work on the show. He cares about himself and himself only. It's just like when he fake cried the morning after Trump won. Maybe he really did cry. He is that much of a psychopath and a sissy. But he's going on and on. But, now more than ever, we need to stand up and we need to fight back against tyranny and Donald Trump and Orange Man bad and whatever. And he capped it off with, apparently, the president can't take a joke. Now, I'm guessing anyone who's watching this has probably at least watched that short clip of Jimmy Kimmel's returning monologue when he came back after a suspension, or has at least read snippets of his monologue typed out and what he said. He said he never meant to make light of Charlie Kirk's death. Okay, fine. And yes, I do think a lot of people on the internet were taking what he said out of context. He did not say anything negative or disparaging about Charlie Kirk. He was not celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. He didn't say that Charlie Kirk deserved it. He didn't say Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist or a bigot or a homophobe, whatever. He didn't say anything directly negative about Charlie Kirk, but he went on to say, oh, and of course the MAGA Republicans are trying to paint his shooter as anyone other than one of their own. So he went on to spread this thing that of course, the person that killed Charlie Kirk was just another crazy conservative. And it's like, let's look back at some of the recent shootings of just like the last month or two. Don't quote me on this. You can all fact check me and I'll totally admit if I'm wrong about something. But I want to say all these different school shootings, church shootings, the guy that killed Charlie Kirk, all this stuff, they've all been leftist, transgender, gay, some kind of ideologized, like they've been brainwashed by some sort of extreme left ideology. He goes up here and tries to say, oh, no, of course it was a MAGA Republican that wanted to murder a MAGA Republican, make it make sense. But then his thing of, and apparently the president can't take a joke. Can somebody please explain to me where you saying that Charlie Kirk's assassin was obviously none other than another MAGA Republican is making a joke? Where's the joke in that? Where's the haha? Where, like, I don't mean, okay, it's a stupid take. It's dumb. Like, it's whatever. But where's the joke? I don't get it. I don't know where. I don't know.
No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
So there's that. That's where I think that Jimmy Kimmel, where he said he doubled down. He not only refused to apologize, but he doubled down and said something I think even far dumber. Oh, the president can't take a joke. I'm like, I watched your stupid monologue, bro. There was no joke in there. Senior Biden administration officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach to Alphabet and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content related to the COVID-19 pandemic that did not violate its policies. While the company continued to develop and enforce its policies independently, the Biden administration officials continued to press the company to remove non-violative user-generated content. Alphabet, the parent company of Google and YouTube, added it was unacceptable and wrong for the Biden administration to attempt to dictate how it policed content, Donovan's letter said. So that sounds an awful lot to me like the president and his administration was infringing on people's First Amendment rights. As long as you are not calling for violence on anyone, that would just kind of be one of the only things that I'd say where, the First Amendment doesn't really cover you. If you are inciting violence, if you are encouraging people to be violent towards a person or towards a group of people, you don't get that freedom. But otherwise, I believe Roseanne happened on Disney like Gina. So is it like I can't remember. I couldn't remember if it was like a social media post or if she said something stupid during an interview. Like, I know she said something kind of racist, but I can't remember if it was a social media post or like if it was on TV, like say if it was in an interview or something. But anyways, that was one where Obama got involved in that. So again, a president was involved in censoring someone and canceling someone, but they're like, oh, it's okay because we decide that she's a bad person. I talked during my last stream about, I'm not going to pull those screenshots up again, but it was just kind of this whole train of thought of how they don't call you racist because they actually think you're racist. They call you that so that they can dehumanize you and justify being violent towards you. Like, they don't actually think you're a fascist. They don't actually think you're a Nazi. They don't actually think whatever, but they use these words that are supposed to be much more extreme. I honestly think words like Nazi and fascist and things have literally lost all meaning because the left uses those in place of well, I disagree with you, so you must be this, that, or the other. It's literally now just synonymous with, well, I just disagree with you, so I'm going to yell this really extreme word at you that's supposed to make you go, oh my gosh, don't call me mean names, I'm so sorry. It completely, I think it completely spits in the face of everyone that was affected by the Holocaust and by the horrible atrocities that the Nazis really did commit. Um, it seriously downplays how bad that whole thing was. And obviously, none of us living could ever possibly know. But any of us that were old enough to have actually studied it in school, or like myself, some of you others watching, if you've actually been to the Holocaust Museum in DC, it's unthinkable, it's unspeakable. And the way that people just throw that word around in everyday conversation so frivolously, it's like you are making that word lose all meaning, and you're really taking away from how terrible, like you can't even put into words like how awful what the Nazis did. Like just it amazes me. But that's the thing, is they think, what's the most extreme thing I can call somebody that will make me suddenly win my argument, because I don't really have an argument. And that's what they do. And it's sick. It's really sick. What else do we have? Goodness, there's so many things. Oh, we could talk about how stupid Zach Bryan is. Oh man. One, Zach Bryan needs to stay off of social media. Two, I think Zach Bryan probably needs to stop drinking. he needs to either stop drinking and or stay off of social media. I don't know if we need to get into it. I've been a fan of his. I've seen him in concert. I really go back and forth with this guy. I'm really kind of out on him. I was out on him a while back when he had Sexy Red come out on stage in her shorts with like her entire ass hanging out. She's like twerking in front of the crowd. And it's like, people bring their kids to those shows, and just like, oh, whatever, it's a concert, you should be ready for anything. Like, okay, fine. Like if you go to a Sexy Red show, you know what you're walking into. If you go to a Zach Bryan show, you're not really expecting to see that. So I was out on him for a while after that, because again, comes back, makes his big tough guy statement. Oh, whatever. If you guys don't like what I'm doing, then I don't need you as fans and stuff. I'm like, well, then I'm sorry I ever gave you my money. But then he makes these tough guy statements, and then he shuts off his comments on his social media, or just shuts his social media down altogether. And it's like, I don't know, bro. You're gonna go out there. You're gonna play tough guy. I think you should be man enough to at least hear the backlash of what people have to say, because these are the people that are spending their hard-earned money to go. I mean, I would say buy your music, but honestly, nobody buys music anymore. But to like go to your concerts. The thing a couple months ago where I guess it was like a 14-year-old girl that was waiting around after a concert that just wanted to get a picture, just wanted to meet him, whatever. And I get it. I understand. When you're playing out sold out stadiums and sold out arenas, you can't meet every single fan. Like people wait outside for hours and hours and hours. I get it. That doesn't mean they're going to get to meet the artist, get a photo, get everything. It's not realistic. It's not plausible. It's not possible. I get it. I understand. But how he handled it, I mean, this wasn't like some 40-year-old guy that was like, oh, Zach Bryan, come on, I want a picture. This was a teenager. This is basically a child. This is just wanted a picture. And he takes to social media that says, oh, you're not entitled to a meet and greet or a photograph, or like just the way he said it. Like, okay, here, let me help you, Mr. Bryan. Let me help you, Zachy boy. In that situation, you can come back and you say, hey, to all the fans that were disappointed they didn't get a chance to meet me or didn't get a chance to get a photo, I'm really sorry. It's really hard to make time for everybody, and I'm sorry I couldn't make time for everyone or whatever. But just like there's a tactful way to just say, hey, like, I'm sorry, I can't make time to meet everybody. But the way that he was just like, just coming to a show doesn't mean you're entitled to a photograph. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like, these are the people that pay money to come. It's like, you would be nobody if these people were not paying money to come see you. Like, then he drunkenly tried to hop a barbed wire fence to fight Gavin Adcock. That was kind of hilarious. And now, let's screw it. Let's just pull it up. Why don't we? Let's talk about Zach Bryan here for a minute, because we're on the topic. Come on. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I don't share the audio because, well, I guess it doesn't really matter because we might watch the latest Oliver Anthony video here too. Because I do still like to talk about music from time to time. That is my big main passion and thing that makes me happy. Like this, I want to be a little more willing to get out here and talk about some spicy topics and talk about some real world stuff. But I also every once in a while want to bring up good things about the music industry. So Zach Bryan recently posted a little snippet, as he often does. He probably just like records it into his phone as he's writing up new songs, coming up with new ideas, and he'll like post the snippet on his Instagram. It's just the audio, maybe like 30 seconds long, whatever. This one in the caption, it said something along the lines of the fading of the red, white, and blue. And let's just read the lyrics of what old Zach Bryan came up with here. Didn't wake up dead or in jail. Some out of town boys giving us hell. I got some bad news. I woke up missing you. My friends are all degenerates, but they're all I got. The generational story of dropping the plot. I heard the cops came. Cocky mother effers, ain't they? And ICE is gonna come bust down your door. Try to build a house. No one builds no more, but I got a telephone. Kids are all scared and all alone. The boss stopped bumping. The rock stopped rolling. The middle finger's rising and it won't stop showing. I got some bad news. The fading of the red, white, and blue. Anyone got want to throw in their 2 cents on what they take of that? This has been going around for a couple days, and a few people have kind of been like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm confused. Like, is he saying that's a good thing? Is he saying it's a bad thing?" I'm like, I'm assuming he's saying it's a bad thing because he's saying it's the fading of the red, white, and blue, and so he's basically painting ICE as being bad for just simply upholding the law. What a weird concept that you break the law, there are consequences. And no, I'm sorry, if you set foot in this country illegally, you are not covered under our Constitution that gives you due process. You set foot in here illegally, you get a free one-way ticket back to where you came from because our Constitution does not represent you if you are here illegally. It's very simple. But apparently Zach Bryan is on the other side of that. And of course, in true tough guy Zach Bryan fashion, when he posted that clip to his Instagram, he turned off the comments. I'm up here saying a lot of dumb stuff that people could very easily hate me for, but you know what I will never do? I will never turn off the comments on my videos. I will never turn off the comments on my Twitter. You want to come on here and tell me that I'm an idiot and I'm full of it, I have no idea what I'm talking about, you're probably kind of right. But I'll hear it. I'll take all the hate. I'll take all the backlash. I don't care. I understand that I am putting my face out there and I am spouting off a bunch of my opinions, and that is all these are. These are my opinions. And you can tell me you hate me till the cows come home, and I'll say that's fine. I will sleep just fine at night knowing that. But I will still read the comments. Maybe just not the right ones. He tries to act like such a tough guy. Like he's trying so hard to like be an outlaw and stuff. And you remember too, he's like a year or two ago when he got arrested and he was being stupid. He like mouthed off to a cop and basically just like spent the night in a drunk tank. He didn't like go to prison. But when he came back and apologized, he's like, I got nothing but respect for law enforcement. I was just being a dumb kid. I was just being an idiot, whatever stuff. Now you're all Mr. Big Tough Guy. Now you hate cops. Now you hate law enforcement. Like, so I think with that, this would be a very good time let's pull up. Oliver Anthony has just posted a new video. I guess it went up 5 days ago. I haven't watched or listened to it yet. It's called Only God Can Save Us Now, which I think is a very fitting sentiment. I'm going to try to share this, make sure the audio shares. Please let me know if it is too loud. I feel like I kind of maybe just had my earbuds turned up a little bit too loud. So you guys on your end, let me know if it's too loud, not loud enough, whatever, and I'll adjust it here for you guys. But here we go. Oliver Anthony, brand new song as of 5 days ago. Only God Can Save Us Now. And ain't that the truth? Let me know if you guys can hear it and how the volume is.
Say all dogs go to heaven, but I don't know. Well, it's been hell since you went away. People I know call me on the phone, but I don't have much to say. I think only God can save me now. I think the time's just about run out. Well, he's the light in the dark, the right at the fork of the road. But it's hard to admit when you don't even know where to go. But I don't know. Sometimes the sun shines so bright, but I just can't feel it. And there's days I'm insane, but it's okay. At least it's real. Say all dogs go to heaven, but I don't know.
Wow. So I know one of the things you're typically kind of supposed to do with YouTube, where you can kind of get away with playing music on live streams, is if you at least kind of like pause it every once in a while, make some commentary, and then there's some sort of disclaimer you put in the description that it's like, I know I don't own this copyrighted material, and doing this for commentary for blah 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 whatever. I was gonna pause it at one point to try to kind of make some commentary and keep going, but at that point I was like, I don't want to interrupt this. This is too good. Just to catch up real quick, talking about Zach Bryan. Yes, Jacob, absolutely 1,000,000%. Zach Bryan is just one, he's just virtue signaling, and two, he's trying to play to a crowd. I feel like when he made his whole statement about, hey, I was just being a young kid, I was just being a jerk, I respect law enforcement, I think he was trying to kind of play to the country crowd that respects law enforcement, military, law and order, rules, laws. a lot of people go, "Oh, you're a bootlicker." I'm like, "No, I disagree that laws that are in place need to be followed. You don't like the laws, vote and change the laws." I think he was playing to a crowd then, and he went on the Joe Rogan Experience shortly after the Bud Light controversy with Dylan Mulvaney, and Rogan and Zach Bryan were both drinking Bud Lights and going, "I don't see what the big deal is," and whatever. That kind of behavior from Joe Rogan doesn't surprise me because, again, I kind of know where Rogan stands on a lot of stuff. And like I said, he's liberal in some things, he's conservative in some things. But Zach Bryan, I was like, dude, you're an idiot. And so now he's on the side of ICE is bad and we're losing our freedom and the fading of the red, white, and blue. He's virtue signaling to another crowd. I would like to say the wrong crowd, but I've actually surprisingly seen a lot of comments in support of his stupid new song, and that a lot of the country music industry has gone very liberal. And of course they try to bring up, oh, the outlaw country, Johnny Cash was a Democrat, Willie Nelson was a Democrat. Yeah, but a Democrat like 50, 60 years ago was very different than a Democrat now. 50 years ago, Republican, Democrat, whatever, people disagree with each other, but they could still like have a civil conversation and they could still be friends. They could still get along. Now, you disagree with a liberal, they're just going to scream all sorts of nasty things in your face. Whatever thing they can pop up, whatever they can think of, they're just going to literally scream in your face. So trying to point out that like, oh, Johnny Cash is a Democrat. I'm like, Johnny Cash was probably a very different type of Democrat than the Democrats we have today. But yes, that was that new Oliver Anthony song was great. Could kind of briefly touch on this. We still got to talk about the Tylenol thing because I want to say it cracks me up, but it also shouldn't, because there are people that are putting themselves into the hospital because of how much they hate Donald Trump. And you can say, oh, that's their fault, they're that stupid. But, again, trying to kind of take a page out of Charlie Kirk's book, I don't wish harm or ill will on people that I disagree with. Even if they are dumb enough to guzzle an entire bottle of Tylenol, that even if you're not pregnant, it's not good to overdose on Tylenol. But I don't actually wish death or ill will on people, and that is what separates us. So this band here, one more quick news story. I'll try to keep this one kind of brief, and then we can rant about Tylenol. Red Clay Strays to release new single "People Hatin'" in response to Charlie Kirk assassination. Don't worry, they're on the side of he should not have died. Otherwise, I would not be talking about this because it would be disgusting. I'm not super familiar with these guys. I think I've heard them pop up on my Spotify, kind of shuffle on a couple times here and there, but I'm usually at work and I don't always look at my phone to see like who the artist is if I don't recognize it. But a couple of the guys from this band, they're kind of somewhere between country folk, somewhere around there. They were on the Joe Rogan Experience recently. And we haven't heard a ton out of this band from Mobile, Alabama in a while. They dropped their sophomore album, Made by These Moments, in 2024, and even shared a live at the Ryman Project at the end of last year as well. But as far as new music goes, with a couple of exceptions, they've been featured in a couple of songs. The Red Clay Strays have been too busy touring to make that happen, or so we thought. In an interview with Joe Rogan, frontman Brandon Coleman, guitarist Drew Nix, and bassist Andy Bishop shared that they, like the rest of the world, were very shaken by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The conversation slowly steered towards that during the interview. And Coleman cited Proverbs 8:36 when speaking on the sickening response that some people had to the political activist's death. There's a Proverbs verse that says, "He who doesn't find me harms himself, and he who loves me," and let me start over. "He who doesn't find me harms himself, and he who loves death hates me." If you love God, you can't love death. You can't love somebody getting killed. There's the line right there. There's evil and good. There's no justification for that. So he's obviously kind of paraphrasing quite a bit there. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm going to look up the actual verse in full and proper context, because I do that a lot too in conversation, where it's just sort of like, yeah, I think it says this or this, and you sort of get the point across, but sometimes it gets a little bit lost in translation. So here we got Proverbs 8:36, coming out of the New American Standard Bible. Wow, man, the cover of this thing is falling apart. It's turning my hands black. But he who sins against me injures himself. All those who hate me love death. Actually, back it up. So he was kind of paraphrasing Proverbs 8:35 and 36. Verse 35, for he who finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. Verse 36, but he who sins against me injures himself. All those who hate me love death. Yeah. Good thing I'm still wearing my gym shorts. I can just wipe that off. I need to get a cover for that thing. It's what happens when you don't get genuine leather, folks. Red Clay Stray's frontman then quickly made sure to clarify they've never had any interest in being political or trying to push a political agenda. We've always, his quote here saying, we've always made a point in the band to not get political. We don't care what your politics are. Just come listen to our music and come have fun at our show. I'm going to repeat that because I feel like a lot of bands and a lot of artists have lost that. Just come listen to our music and come have fun at our show. Yes, please. That's all we want. That's all we want. Just go to a concert and just,
be excellent to each other.
I just feel like so many bands now feel like they have to make some big political statement. I mean, I don't think a day goes by now I don't see a headline of, oh, Green Day frontman Billy Joe Armstrong, and they try, oh, well, they're punk rock. Punk rock has always been political. Like, Green Day has not been punk rock since like 1990. Get out of here. They're just trying to be controversial so that people will talk about them. And guess what? Here I am talking about them, but that's the last thing I'm going to say about them. Just play your stupid songs, man. Like, write your politics into the songs. I mean, write it into the songs, but it's like, I don't go to a concert for you to spend time in between songs lecturing me. Some of my favorite bands that I love seeing live, I've seen live many times over, are each individual members of the bands themselves are probably very liberal. But you know why I say probably? Because they don't shove it down your throat when you go to a concert. Tool. For a fact, the members of Tool, very specifically the singer Maynard James Keenan and especially their drummer Danny Carey, are very liberal. What do you get when you go to a Tool show? You get music. Maynard speaks to and addresses the crowd probably twice in a 2-hour concert. They come out, they play 2, maybe 3 songs, and then he'll say, hello, maybe crack some dumb joke because we're in San Diego. He'll always make some sort of Ron Burgundy joke. Hello, San Diego, whatever, something. And then they'll play. And then right before the very last song, he will say something along the lines of, thank you. You can now get your phones out because they have a very strict no cell phone policy at their shows. No filming, no nothing. He will allow the fans to get their phone out and record the last song of the night. And that is it. That is all he says the entire night. And then they just play their music. Another one, Coheed and Cambria. I've seen they've made little posts here and there, and they're subtle. They're very few and far between, but they're pretty left-leaning. They're pretty liberal on a lot of things. I go to a Coheed and Cambria show, same thing. They come out, they have a big grand entrance, big epic thing, play a couple songs, they say hi, they play, and they say, thanks, good night, here's our last song, whatever, and that's it, and you go home. That's all we ask. Just come listen to our music. Come have fun at our show. Every one of us in this band, originally, we all had different views politically and religiously in some type of way. I love a good political talk, but lately I've just been so jaded from it, and I don't want to ever divide our fan base. Divide our fan base. Divide the fan base. Why would you want to do that? How you vote or how you believe is none of my business. Here we are to sustain you. Here we are to entertain you. I got lost. Hold on. No, I don't have a funny video clip for that. We are here to entertain you, so I never want to use my platform for that. However, the band did touch on the Charlie Kirk situation with their time with Joe Rogan. They see Kirk's death not as a political issue, but as a basic human problem. And if them coming out and condemning the action is seen as political, so be it. Coleman shared that they had actually already recorded a song back in April that touched on the issue of people putting politics first. And after Kirk's death, they decided to go ahead and release the song as a single. From what the Red Clay Strays said in the interview, fans can probably expect a song called People Hatin' to come out on October 3rd, which I guess was a few days ago. We got so sick of people putting politics over humanity that we had actually wrote a song about it in April in the studio called People Hatin'. We weren't going to put it out as a single at first. We were going to do another song. But after the Charlie Kirk thing, we got together and we were like, I think we need to put out People Hatin' instead for the first single, because we've got to stop killing each other over beliefs and stop hating each other over beliefs. Cheers to that. All right. I don't have an article for it, but good Lord, can we talk about the Tylenol thing? You know, it really amazes me. It really, really blows my mind how people are unwilling to do 5 seconds of research. Google, should pregnant women take Tylenol? Tylenol tweeted themselves on their Twitter a couple years ago, and I understand this is like probably a legal blanket statement on their part that them as the drug company making Tylenol cannot recommend their drug to anyone. There's that blanket statement on any medication you take, over the counter or whatever. It says, consult your doctor before taking. They might say, oh, if you have this condition, if you don't take it with alcohol, if you're pregnant or may become pregnant, consult your doctor, whatever. So Tylenol tweeting that out was more of just kind of them saying, well, really, like, we don't recommend it for anyone, but they specifically put in their pregnant women, whatever. So they say, go talk to your doctor. Leave it up to what your doctor thinks is good and right and safe for you. On every bottle of it. Yeah, exactly. Like it always says, if you're pregnant, consult your doctor, no matter what. And of course, because the TDS is real. And for those of you that are new here, TDS stands for Trump Derangement Syndrome. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things about him. I'm going to just put it out there right now. Yes, I did vote for him, but no, I don't consider myself MAGA Republican. I don't have the MAGA hat. I don't have the shirt. I don't have the 47 merchandise. I don't have all this stuff. But he just, in our lesser of two evils system that we have put ourselves in, it was Kamala Harris or it was Donald Trump. And I just, for the life of me, could not picture Kamala Harris presidency and having 4 years of her drunken word salad and cackling and open borders, just to name a few things. So yes, I did vote for Trump, but I don't consider myself like the extreme MAGA cultists, which they are. Like the people that say he's the best president ever are a little cultish. I'm not that. That's even that. I'm like, that's a little crazy for me. But I love how much people hate him. I love how much he lives rent-free in people's heads. I love how much it just enrages people that he just exists. It is so funny to me. People send me these videos of like people try to go to different protests and demonstrations and stuff and are just very calmly asking questions or just sort of standing there with the sign, and they're like getting surrounded and bombarded and people just like screaming in their face and telling them to leave and every horrible name in the book that they could possibly think of and everything. And he's like, oh, but aren't you supposed to be loving and tolerant and accepting of everyone? And they're like, no, we're not accepting of everyone because you're spreading hate. Whereas really they're the ones coming at them and being aggressive and violent and hateful. And it's hilarious to me. And I love that people just hate Donald Trump so much that it enrages them to that point, when I'm going to be completely honest, he probably has not affected these people's day-to-day life in any way, shape, or form. He has not hindered their ability to get up in the morning and go to work if they even have jobs, which most of them probably don't. He's not hindered their ability to exist. He whatever. But we are now in a time and place where if Trump says something, the left has to do the opposite. There are all sorts of funny reels and memes and things going around after the Tylenol thing that it's like, oh, Trump says that it's bad to, drink dog urine. And then it's like liberals be like, and they have like a glass jar with sort of like a yellow liquid in it. Or Donald Trump says it's bad to eat dog poop. And then it's like liberals with brown stuff smeared all over their face and everything. Like, you could literally say anything. And then, oh, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to go do the exact opposite just because you told me not to. Like, I already saw one headline. There was one headline right after the Tylenol thing, which, by the way, should cover this part first. Is the thing of them just looking into the possibility. Like, here's the other thing too, is they didn't just come out and say, oh, Tylenol causes autism if you're pregnant. They're just saying, maybe we should look into it. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. It's worth looking into. It's a Harvard study. RFK didn't pull this out of his ass. Trump didn't come up with it. Harvard looked into this. It's been inconclusive as far as I can tell at this point, but then RFK is like, oh, well, there's the study. We're going to look into it. Now all of a sudden liberal women are like, I'm going to guzzle a whole bottle of Tylenol. There's a woman that was pregnant that was like in the ICU on a ventilator because she OD'd on Tylenol. Like, it wasn't just this thing of like, oh, I'm going to take this video of me taking one Tylenol and whatever. Like, she like overdosed. She took more, because that's another thing. What did you say? There's it's on every bottle of medication. You know what is also on every bottle of any kind of medication you take, whether it's prescribed to you by a doctor or over the counter, there's a maximum daily dose on there. And I think with most things like ibuprofen, Tylenol, any sort of pain relievers, fever, it's probably, I think it says like, you can like take 2 tablets every maybe 6 hours, but then it says not to exceed like 6 tablets in a 24-hour period, something like that. There's always a guideline of don't take more than this many in a 24-hour period. That's with everything. So you go out and overdose on Tylenol just because Trump said, well, really, I think RFK said it because he was quoting this Harvard study that they're looking into the possibility that it could cause autism if pregnant women are taking it. So, of course, there's already the headline, Trump is telling pregnant women to just tough it out. It's like, I swear Trump could come out and say that, actually, you know what? Yeah, I am pro-choice. I think everyone should be able to have abortions. The next day, the headline would say, Trump wants everyone to kill their babies. Like, well, isn't that what the liberals are doing anyways? So that just amazes me. It amazes me the level of hatred that these people have for this man, that like as soon as his administration says anything, they go and do the exact opposite. And he should really start trolling people with that and start saying stuff like really outlandish stuff on purpose just to get people to go do the exact opposite. That would be so hilarious. I would love that. I would be here for it. I would just pop some popcorn and scroll Twitter. Really funny one. I'm not going to pull it up because it was kind of a longer video, but Tim Pool from Tim Cast or Tim in real life, whatever his different handles are for his show. He was doing a video where he was showing some of these different ones that we'd all seen across Instagram of these women that they're like, okay, look, I'm pregnant. Okay, here's the Tylenol. I took the Tylenol. I took water. There were a couple of them. So there's one. I think the one that I think was getting shared the most, and it was the first one I saw. This girl, she was in kind of like a black tank top and then like light gray sweatpants, and sort of had like the tank top pulled up to like very much show like, okay, like she was very pregnant. Had 2 bottles of Tylenol sitting on the counter, like in front of her camera, right in front of her phone, with the Tylenol label facing out, so you could see here's 2 little bottles of Tylenol here right in front of the camera. But then she had another bottle in her hand with the label facing in. So really all you could see on the outside was like the drug facts that would be like on the back of the bottle. So you couldn't see the front label. The bottle did not have a red cap, which you typically know the Tylenol bottles usually have a red cap. And whatever pill she poured out of that bottle was blue. So that leads me to believe that these psychopathic liberal women that were making these gotcha videos at Trump that like, look, I'm going to take Tylenol just because you said it might be bad. Probably had a sliver of doubt in their mind that like, maybe there is something to this and I don't want to risk my baby's health, but I hate Trump so much. I still want to make a gotcha video. I still want to make a rage bait video. So I'm going to have the Tylenol like right in clear view of the camera, but I'm going to take something else, but then make it look like I'm taking Tylenol. There's another one where the girl like gets the pill, gets the water. She kind of just puts her hands up to her lips real quick. You can't even tell if she like has a tablet in her hand or not. So it's just this thing of like, some of them really were taking it, some of them weren't, but it just that tells me that like they believe like, okay, maybe I should be careful. Maybe I should consult my doctor before I take Tylenol while being pregnant. But they still wanted to make those rage bait videos. Like that is how, first of all, narcissistic and self-centered our society is now, that everything has to be a video. And I realize the irony of me saying this on YouTube while I'm putting my stupid face out here, saying all sorts of stupid things. But that it's just like everything has to be, look at me. Like I just, Oh, absolutely. Trump needs to use the reverse psychology as long as he can. I like if he if he cashed in on this, it would be so great. I think if he did the thing of like, oh, like eating dog poop is bad, like people would pick up on the fact that he is intentionally trolling them. But just find something to be like, oh, studies show this is bad, and like watch what people do. It would be hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. What else do we got? What else? Oh, I didn't really want to spend a ton of time on this because I'm going to be honest. I have not really watched the videos. I haven't read his entire speech, but the defense secretary, what's he now, like the Department of War or whatever the hell they changed it to, which I'm going to admit that's pretty stupid. I don't feel like we should have a department called the Department of War. I don't think that's something we want to like, hey, we have a whole department just for war. I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that. So I don't know. I haven't really looked into this one much, but this article from The Guardian, which again is obviously very leftist, and there's just like one little snippet in here I'm going to pull out that I thought was really hilarious. But veterans react to Hegseth's insulting address to generals and admirals. Defense Secretary's speech touching on physical fitness and doctrine of lethality was seen as egotistical and dangerous. I mean, I don't know. On one hand, he was saying that like the physical standards should be the same all across the board because, if somebody's life depends on you, there's something to be said about that. But I'm sure the veterans that they interviewed for this were the ones that obviously they're going to all say he's horrible and he's terrible and they hated everything he said. They're not going to get any quotes from people that said, oh no, I liked what he had to say. And I said, I didn't watch it. I didn't read it. But what I thought, again, when we're going back to kind of talking about, the double standards and the hypocrisy from the left versus the right, it's really fascinating. Where is it? There we go. He talked about the previous commander-in-chief, obviously referring to President Biden, and then talked about the enemy within. That is a dangerous, slippery slope to be referring to that. Wait, that is a dangerous, slippery slope to be referring to the leaders of the U.S. military. Very dangerous. Anybody else out there watching remember all of the many, 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 many times Trump has been referred to as literally Hitler and a fascist and a Nazi and a dictator and, tyrannical leader. And, he's never, once he gets reelected, he's never going to leave the White House. And, all these things that they've said about Trump. And these might have been people that were in the military, not in the military. I don't know, whatever stuff. But like, again, going back to the thing of like, they're diminishing and demeaning and taking away from the horrific events that really did happen during the Holocaust by just flippantly throwing around terms like Hitler, Nazi, fascist, whatever. It just like, it basically is synonymous with, I disagree with what you're saying, so you must be this, that, blah, 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 blah. It's lost all meaning. The words have literally lost all meaning, and it really takes away from and disrespects what really happened and how terrible it really was. So through that lens of what people are constantly calling Trump and all of his followers. Now, somebody here has the audacity to say that it's very dangerous to be referring to the previous commander in chief, President Biden, as the enemy within. I mean, he, you know, maybe not Biden himself, but under his administration, they decided it was really important for the military to have like DEI training and tell everybody that you need to put your pronouns in your emails, and we're going to have drag shows for the troops, and we're going to let people come into the military and then decide to transition to another gender, and then we're going to pay for it, meaning the tax dollars are going to pay for it. We're going to have wide open borders and let everybody in, and just whatever. Everyone's just going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. And so then when somebody refers to as that previous commander in chief, President Biden, as the enemy within, they're saying that's dangerous. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Okay. It's not dangerous to be constantly referring to the current sitting president as literally Hitler, or as a Nazi, or as a fascist, as a tyrannical dictator. That's not dangerous. That's why somebody tried to kill him. That is why somebody killed Charlie Kirk. That is why people are committing such acts of violence to everybody on the right, because they have thrown around all these very extreme buzzwords for so long that A, they've lost all meaning, and B, in their minds, they have dehumanized everyone that they disagree with. Say, oh, aren't you supposed to be the party of, love and peace and tolerance? And they just have this blanket statement, or this kind of this shield that they can hide behind of, oh, well, they're a bigot who is spreading hate. I'm like, okay, so apparently silence is violence, but also words are violence. That's an interesting take to have. Silence is violence, words are violence. But then when you think someone's words are violence, then you become physically violent towards people and try to murder them. Steven Crowder, that was one I was going to kind of touch on a little bit. I don't have too much to say about him, because you can just go follow Steven Crowder for yourself. But he was kind of doing something similar to Charlie Kirk for a little while, called Change My Mind. He would go into college campuses, he would set up a table, and he would have one particular topic at hand. One of them, there's somewhere it would be like male privilege doesn't exist, change my mind. And people could come and sit down and they could debate and stuff. But he admitted he backed off. He stopped doing it because he was getting death threats. He was getting things thrown at him at these debates. Now, his format was very similar to Turning Point and very similar to Charlie Kirk's. Steven Crowder himself said that Charlie Kirk was more moderate than him, basically meaning that like Steven Crowder is going to be a little more blunt, but he's still calm. He's still respectful. He does not raise his voice. He does not shout. He does not name call. He does not demean. He does not talk down to. He does not bully. He has conversations. But I do think Charlie Kirk was probably nicer than him on a lot of fronts. But essentially, they were both kind of doing the same thing. But Steven Crowder said that he stopped because he could not afford to have the security. It's like somebody would throw a milkshake at him during these debates, but it got to where like he didn't know if it was a strawberry milkshake or if that cup was full of cement or acid or Molotov cocktails. He said he was getting doxxed, he was getting firebombed, he was getting all this stuff. So he was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this because I'm gonna have to pay for all this security and all this and everything. And again, what we keep coming back to is we saw it happen to Charlie Kirk. I think Charlie Kirk was able to do it longer because I think he did have security, but obviously what happened, nobody foresaw that happening, him being taken out the way that he was. I mean, at that point, you have to have security like the president, where you have to have snipers on roofs. You got to be behind bulletproof glass. It's just, it's insane. Nobody ever saw that we would be in this timeline, that somebody having respectful conversation, respectful debate would worry about this. And they could sit there and say, oh, Charlie Kirk was a bigot, he was a this, he was that, whatever. Charlie Kirk did not hate anyone. You can disagree with his personal beliefs, you can disagree with his opinions, you could disagree with his stance on things, but he did not hate anyone. He gave everyone a platform. Everyone that stepped up to that microphone to ask a question or to talk to him, he gave them a platform. And if the crowd started to heckle or get noisy, he would hush the crowd. He would say, hey, this person stepped up to the microphone. It is their turn to speak. Let's do what the left doesn't do, and let's be quiet. Let's be respectful, and let's let them have their turn to speak. So he would let everyone speak and he would listen. And he may still come back and say, well, I disagree with what you just said, but he would say it respectfully, politely, a civil manner, but he would let people speak. He would listen to them. And I don't think anybody ever foresaw that that was going to happen to somebody like him for just doing that. And so now Steven Crowder is back. He has relaunched his Change My Mind. And of course, his first video back is The Left is Violent. Change My Mind. I have watched episode 1. It was about an hour and a half long. I have not watched episode 2 yet. But I highly recommend it. Go check it out. I'm not going to give you all the highlights and bullet points. I'm just going to say, go watch it, listen to it, whatever. I mean, it's on YouTube, but when I'm at work, I just like leave my phone unlocked and just listen because I have an earbud in and I just listen while I'm working. But yeah, he said to be able to do this again, to be able to come back, he said he had to spend like $500,000 in security. He had to go out wearing a Kevlar vest. He had to basically come in with an army of like armed security and be behind bulletproof glass to sit down and have conversation. And it's fascinating. So I don't know. Again, it's just kind of funny seeing this quote from, supposed angry veterans responding to the defense secretary's comments about calling President Biden the enemy within and saying how it's such a dangerous, slippery slope. It's like, you've all said far worse things about Trump and his administration for many, many years. And that is why the left now feels so emboldened to be violent towards anyone that they disagree with, because they have decided in their minds that anyone who disagrees with them is not human, and therefore they can be violent towards them. Oh, you're supposed to be the party of love and peace and tolerance. And they'll be like, oh, well, you're spreading hate, because in their mind, they've decided that you're a hateful bigot and you're not human. And so it's acceptable to be violent towards you. It's wild. We are truly, truly living in a simulation. What's up, Kyle? Yeah, I know. He started that quite a while ago. I mean, I know like Charlie Kirk started Turning Point in like 2012. I don't really know when he started kind of doing like the whole debate thing on college campuses and whatever. But yeah, I kind of see them as like in the same vein of kind of coming up and doing, trying to do the same thing of just having debate, just having conversation. But it was funny when I was listening in on that first episode of him returning with his Change My Mind. It was kind of like there was like sort of just some B-roll footage where he recorded like a voiceover talking about it. And then he was like, sitting down and talking to people and stuff. And I can't remember if it was in the voiceover during the B-roll or if it was when he was actually talking to one of the students, but he said something at one point where he was like, Charlie is more moderate than I am, basically meaning like, yeah, Steven Crowder's back, but he's like, he's a little more hardcore and some stuff, but still always in a civil manner. And yet still people want to try to kill people for that and try to be violent towards them. So I don't know. If anyone has any final thoughts on any of the stuff we've talked about tonight, I think I kind of covered all the stuff I had on my thumbnail and a few extras, but it just, I don't know. We're truly in a simulation. And I think the reason why we can't get out of the matrix is because they took away all the payphones. Think about it, man. Think about it. How did they get out of the matrix? They had to get on a payphone. They took them away. Part 1 was better than part 2. I watched both. Part 2 had some nice conversations. They were definitely both worth a watch. Yeah, part 1, it was like 2 of the conversations were good. 2 of them were like, okay, wow, you're kind of dumb. But yeah, it was good. I'll have to check out episode 2 maybe tomorrow. But yeah, no, that's we can't get out of the matrix, man. They took away all the payphones and the landlines, and that's how they got out of the matrix. Where's Neo? We're in a simulation. We're in a bad timeline, but yeah, I don't know. Final thoughts on this. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But yes, I do not foresee any problems with me being back next week or the following week. Yeah, I had family in town last week. This weekend, got to get out of my place for a couple days. They have to tent it and fumigate it for termites. Haven't seen any in a little while, but did see a few couple weeks ago, texted the owner, and he's like, oh yeah, we'll tent the place, this, that, and the other. Originally they were going to do it today, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's like, can you do it over a weekend, like make it a little easier, not trying to like go to work and everything and stuff. So they're doing it over a weekend, but then it adds a day to it. So they're gonna tent the place this Friday. I gotta be out pretty much by the time I go to work. I gotta go home somewhere else Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I think by the time I get off work Monday, I'll be able to come back home. But yay, termites and fumigation. But I will really, really try my darndest to be back here next Monday. I don't really think I have anything major going on that's going to keep me from doing this until, well, see, the week of Thanksgiving, I'm flying out Tuesday. I might still be able to do a Monday show the week of Thanksgiving. But yeah, going to try to keep this thing going as much as I can. Hopefully next week won't be as chaotic, because with taking a week off, there's a lot to catch up on, a lot to rant about, there's a lot going on up here. I had a whole long list of topics, and again, I gotta say, I'm just an idiot with a camera and a microphone, and these are all just my opinions, but appreciate y'all for hanging out. If you have not already, please make sure to like the stream, share it out there for others to see. I'm gonna, as soon as I'm done here, gonna download it, throw it up on Spotify. So any of you that want to be able to kind of listen back without having to do the YouTube thing, leaving your phone unlocked, I will have it on Spotify podcasts. And yeah, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, all that fun stuff. But hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, however many hours you have left in your Monday. And hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will see you next Monday. Termites be damned. Cheers.
Be excellent to each other.
This has been Late to the Party News. Make sure to like and share this video for others to see. Subscribe to the channel and set notifications to all so you get notified every time we go live or post a new video. Thanks and good night.